Привет, Stalker. Welcome to the Zone. I'm Dinka Rubles, this is the Red Forest, and this is the very first Into the Zone Stalker Stealth Camp Challenge. The rules for the challenge are going to be posted below in the description. They're also going to be posted in Into the Zone's Discord server. But basically, the gist of it is we want to come out at least one night overnight in the woods, in an abandoned building, wherever you're intending to stealth camp, and do it as sneaky breeky as we possibly can. That's going to mean low profile shelters, low profile fire, low profile lights, strong light discipline. My personal plan for the weekend is going to be a low profile, so below the waist height, muted color, camouflage tarp shelter. I'm going to utilize a Dakota fire hole for a stealth fire. I could opt for cook stove only, but it's going to be cold. It's going to get down to low 30s tonight, so I'm really going to want to have that fire. Light discipline, I'm going to limit myself to no artificial light after dark unless strictly necessary, in which case it's going to be only red or green LED, no white light. So, I'm not going to talk a whole lot more in this video. I'm just going to show you what I'm doing, and I really want to see what you're doing. So check out the rules, go out, participate in the challenge, swing by the Discord, bring your score, bring a video, bring some photos, and show us what sort of adventures you guys are getting into out here in the zone. Привет, stalkers. Made it through the night. It was a bit of a rough one. Got up, got some coffee, got some breakfast. Feel a little bit better. But I've got a real kink in my neck and a horrible headache because my air mattress decided to deflate on me last night. So it's got a hole in it somewhere. So yeah, this guy, totally flat. About once an hour I was waking up flat on the ground, shivering cold because I didn't have a whole lot of insulation under me, and all kinked up because I didn't have a pillow anymore because it's built into the pad, and I didn't have that insulation value anymore. So thankfully there's an inflation valve right on the pillow. So wake up, pull the pillow over, reinflate it, go back to sleep, hour and a half, wake up and repeat the process. But it got cold. It got down to 31 last night. I was sleeping in this, just a flannel, wool balaclava, wool gloves, U.S. surplus, extreme cold weather system, lawn johns, and wool socks. It was pretty chilly. I did have that extra sleeping bag that I brought just in case. Didn't end up needing it. Probably could have pulled it out and been more comfortable, but I wanted to see if this sleep system would survive the night without having to break into the backups, and it did. It did a good job. Really only my toes got a little too cold for comfort, and I would have been fine if the sleep pad had held up. Because when it was inflated, I wasn't shivering, but when it deflated and I was flat on the ground, I kept waking up shivering. But this, like I said, this improvised Ranger roll, or modified Ranger roll, worked really well. And that was the Miltech poncho. This is a German copy of the USGI poncho. US casualty blanket. So this is a clone. I couldn't find any real surplus casualty blankets, but it's an OD green tarp with a Mylar reflected inside, and then a Wooby. So that was a pretty serviceable sleep system, down to 31. I'd take it out in 31 again, but with a proper ground layer. The Z-Pack that I had brought along just isn't enough for me anymore. I'm getting too old. It's too uncomfortable. It's not enough. So maybe I'll look into getting either a better inflatable pad, because this one was cheap, or a thicker closed cell foam pad so that they can't deflate. I don't know. Got to look into something. But survived. It was fine. As far as scoring goes on the challenge, I'll have to look up the score sheet again and give you an exact number, but I want to say it was somewhere in the 60 to 70 points range. I'll put it right here. Let me walk through the scoring real quick. I had low profile shelter, shorter than my waist, muted colors. Didn't bother camouflaging it because I ended up using my camouflage tarp as my sleep system, so I didn't want to use it as part of my shelter. Low profile fire with the Dakota fire hole. Didn't mess with no flames. It was too cold for that. Did not manage to get away without using light, but I did restrict myself to red light only. As far as location and risk, I am in a place that does allow camping. However, there are people around who could come across my campsite. Nobody did. When I came into the National Forest here, there was 6 or 7 other cars or tents or campers around. A guy with a trailer full of ATVs and one parks official, game warden, whatever his title is. And where I'm at, maybe 20 yards that way, bushwhacking to hit an ATV trail, and then about 100, 200 yards down the ATV trail, there's another family set up that have a camper and 2 tents, and so they're not that far. If I shouted, they could probably hear me. So yeah, however that score works out, like I said, I'll flash it up on the screen. But it was good. It was a good trip. Sleep system, other than the pad, held up really well, kept me warm enough, and I'm going to call it a success.